Welcome back to Viewmasters. And I think it's our first episode of the year.
Yes, it is. They thought us out.
They thought we were...
You guys, get in there.
We always come crawling back out of the sewer. Rusty, it's been... so much has happened since our last episode. I don't even know where to begin. I did a million projects around the house.
Oh, I can't imagine how that went.
Every single experience is like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode.
Well, like a crane game, I want to see you dig in and pull something out. What's the most memorable?
Dip in and pull something out. Okay, I don't know if I told you this one, but so when the house was inspected, they showed me photos of the pipes, and the pipes were like so disgusting and rusting that I was like, okay, I really will actually fix all these pipes at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got a plumber. He came over, took a look, like an older white guy who kind of looked like Santa Claus, but with a clearly asshole edge. And
that's the kind of plumber you want. Santa Claus with an asshole edge.
He looks around, and I swear to God, he didn't look at shit. And he's like, all right, I could start tomorrow, 7 a.m. And I was like, 7 a.m.? How about 8 a.m.? And he looked at me with such disgust. He's like,
yeah.
You sleep in? Is that your thing? You sleeping in? And I'm like, okay, it's 7. So 7 a.m., I see him in his truck.
Fancy boy.
I see a fancy boy. Who's a fancy boy?
You sleeping in 8 a.m. That's what he's thinking. That's from him, not me.
Well,
I would be like 8:39.
His opinion of me plummeted a lot more after that.
Oh, geez.
The guy shows up in the morning, and I see a truck of workers come, and I see him clearly meet them for the first time, which, whatever, but he knocks on my door, and he's like, hey, yeah, we're here. We're all set to go. These guys are my best guys. I work with these guys for years. These guys are experts. And I'm like,
pick them up at Home Depot?
That's what it seemed like, which, no offense to any migrant worker or anything. I mean, but the one kid looked 14. He was like 14 wearing he had like a hoodie up, and I was like, that is a child.
Was he like, look at this crop of guys?
So anyway, they're like, okay, we're gonna replace all the pipes, and they go under the house. I swear to God, I think they were just banging the pipes with hammers. I don't think they actually did it. Because I looked at those pipes. I've actually looked at those pipes many times since then, and they look the same.
And
during this,
14-year-old doing it, what's the 14-year-old going to know about plumbing?
Fucking asshole Santa Claus is asleep in his truck in the driveway.
It's the worst.
Oh wait, I also forgot to tell you that at one point, I always do this with every worker. At the last second, I panic about how much it costs, and then I have them convince me all over again that it's going to be worth it. And so I was like,
that's not
this
worth that.
I was like, he's like, all right, we're gonna get started. And I was like, one thing. This work you're doing, it's worth it, right? There's a value to it. Like, I'll notice the value. It's a good value. And he's like, oh yeah. Like, he does like a slow turn. And I could just see his like bullshit meter, like not bullshit meter, his bullshit factory spinning. And he's like, oh yeah, you right now your water's slow. You got slow water. So this is going to speed up your water considerably. Your water is going to be coming at 45 knots. Right now you're like 22. And I'm like,
he knows you know nothing.
But I knew enough to know it was like, he was so clearly lying to me that it was almost like a challenge where it was like, am I man enough to say, hold on, you're full of shit, clearly, anyone could tell.
Yeah.
So anyway, that guy goes to sleep in his truck. The crew is working beneath the house, banging, and all the water was off, of course. And I had to go to the bathroom really bad. We can all see where this one's going. Maybe I'd not actually. I had to go to the bathroom, and I was like, what if I'm peeing in the toilet and I just see like a 14-year-old's face looking up at me, like up in Schindler's List? I was like, so I'm not going to do that. I was like, I can't pee in the toilet. And even though there's a million other places I could have peed, I grabbed like a big mug. Actually, hey, listener Dan, I'm pretty sure it was the mug you gave us on your wedding. I grabbed a mug and I went inside the pantry and I closed the door, which I did not need to do. Peed in the pantry, was looking at my phone, go to get out. Knob's just turning. I'm like, come on. Keep turning the knob. The knob comes off in my hand. Then I try to use my shoulder to like bash my way out. That's not even close to happening.
You got a sturdy pantry door.
And so then I have to call the guy and wake him up. And I'm like, he's like, hello? I'm like, hey, this is really weird, very bizarre. I am locked in the pantry, which is in the kitchen. It's a door in the kitchen. If you could just come in and open the pantry and let me out. And he's like, who is this? And I'm like, it's the guy whose house you're working on right now. He's like, the house we're at now? And I'm like, yes. And I finally like I hear his like footsteps coming, and I'm just, I like hide my fucking mug of piss behind like my expired Count Chocula, and I'm just like, and he opens the door, and the look of disgust on this guy's face, just like, he's like, I'm a working man.
So embarrassing. That is so
member of the creative class, fucking slack off whack job. And I said to myself, I said to myself, because I barely said it loud, but I said it out loud. My excuse was, I was trying to make a funny video, it went wrong. And
that's even worse.
I know.
Trying to make he must have thought so low of you.
Oh wait, I forgot the best part of this. The whole reason I was really inspired to do this was because my upstairs shower had been leaking for a long time. And no one could fix the leak. And so I basically pitched this job to him saying, you can come do all the work from the inspection and you can fix the bathroom. And so when he was leaving, I was like, what about the upstairs bathroom? And he's like, yeah, I did a little, I touched up the caulking on it. Yeah, I think it should be fine, I hope. And I was like, cause that's like, I really need that fixed. And he's like, sorry. And I was like, damn, that's the worst experience of my fucking life.
There's one thing I've learned about being a homeowner. You got to find a good plumber, a good electrician. Oh, yeah. Once you find that, it's so crucial. You want a guy that comes, that's honest with you. I have an awesome plumber. I recommend him to everyone.
Oh, maybe I'll fly him out.
I mean, obviously it doesn't help you unless you want to fly him out there.
I went to run an errand earlier. I deposited a check in my bank account for $11. And I mailed one for $19,000, and I was like, "Was this wrong? This is not a sustainable split."
$11. That's not even worth the time. $11.
I can't on the phone app. Anyway, welcome to Viewmasters. Our episode today is on maybe 3 o'clock high.
Nice little segue. You got bullied by a plumber.
I got bullied by a plumber, and there's a bully in this film. And Rusty, I feel uniquely qualified to talk about this movie. Do you know why? Because
why is that?
When I started taking the notes for it, I was still in high school.
Is that something that people will understand?
Everyone who listens knows that we take forever to get episodes out.
Well, this has been a work in progress.
Yeah.
It's been a difficult winter to spring, and you've been busy with your writing projects.
Yeah.
In fact, I've been busy with
everything reached its peak right before the strike. It was like, you finally did it. The show's gonna go, and then it's like strike. So now I don't even know what kind of world I'm gonna see when the strike ends.
Oh.
Well, I'm trying to form.
It would be the apocalypse by it.
I'm trying to form a more radical WGA. You know how there was like the more radical IRA? That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Nice.
Anyway.
I like it. Well, you've been busy with that. I've been busy potty training my daughter.
Really?
She's got it. It didn't take that long, but the incentive was we give her when she goes in number 1 or number 2, she gets either a sticker, like a snack, or a toy. And we came up with a system for we have a box of mystery toys. Basically like a vending machine that has the toys in the egg kind of thing, mm-hmm. which she loves. So now I've never seen a kid pee and poop so much. I don't know where it's coming from, but she's constantly going on the toilet and saying, I want another toy. So she has there's this toys all over the house now, but it worked. She got potty trained in a weekend. So
when she was pissing and shitting all the time, did you accuse Jen and say, "That's Ed's daughter, isn't it?" Only Ed pisses and shits that much.
You do piss a lot.
Yeah.
I've never seen this. I mean, pee so much.
And here we are, Rusty, talking about 3 O'Clock High. What a film.
I love it.
Now, this is a movie that I was never really into as a kid.
I wasn't into this movie as a kid. I
Really?
got into it as not even in high school. I got into it post high school, probably like college. I would say maybe after college.
I didn't really get into it until grad school. You know, my master's, Rusty's in 3 O'Clock High. My thesis, I had to kick my professor's ass. Oh my Lord.
Did you graduate with honors? I want to know. Did you graduate with honors with that?
No, I got a broken nose. Giving the guy a broken nose is like a B. I only gave him a contusion. That was actually the one real fight I was in, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point. I remember the rumor was I'd given the kid a concussion, and then it later came back I'd only given him a contusion. I was like, oh my God, that's such a
contusion.
You know, that's like, I thought I aced the test. I got a B.
Instead of coming back to school and getting the hot girl, you get like the C-level girl for a contusion.
Yeah, contusion, that's not putting your name on the map.
Concussion, you're getting cheerleader.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Hero of the school.
School.
Just to quickly say this guy deserved it. But so do I.
I'm glad you put that out there.
The story behind this movie is that Phil Joanou, the director, he went to USC, right? Or UCLA, I think it was USC. And they had like the night at the end of the year where they show all the movies, and Spielberg was there. He saw this guy's movie. He said, "Kid, you're coming with me."
Yeah.
But then when he kind of defied Spielberg during the filming of this movie, Spielberg was like, "You're done, son."
Well, didn't he direct a couple episodes of Spielberg's like Amazing Stories?
That was before this.
Yeah, but I'm saying like he was in the good graces of Spielberg until he directed.
Yeah.
And
John
like you said,
no, not John Lithgow, it's John Lithgow, right? Didn't we learn that recently?
Yeah, John Lithgow.
He was in the Amazing Stories episode that Phil Joanou directed, and he won, I believe, an Emmy for his performance. And giving the speech, he said, "Phil Joanou, you remember that name. He's going to be huge."
And what happened though?
It's kind of a sad story. I think from 3 O'Clock High, he defied Spielberg.
Yeah.
Paid the price for that.
I wonder if he's a jerk.
Oh. The stories I could tell. The stories I
teased you with that.
That I heard.
Really? Well, let's get sued. Let's take a risk here.
You know what's great about this podcast is we update it so infrequently and not enough people listen. I can tell stories like this and get away with it. So,
well,
this story, I'm pretty sure that
never working with Spielberg. Here's the end of your chances to work with Spielberg.
Here's the thing about this story. I feel enough. I heard it from a very reliable source, but I'm hoping that enough people know it that it won't be traced back to that person. So you might remember Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Never heard of it. Go on.
So check out the Criterion channel. Anyway, so Shia LaBeouf, you remember him? He was a troubled troubled adult.
Yeah, mutt.
And he, he was kind of, I don't know if he was discovered by Spielberg, but basically he formed this relationship with Spielberg where Spielberg was like basically his dad figure. And
really,
Crystal Skull was a culmination of a few other projects that they'd done together or that Spielberg had produced. It was like leading up to it. And we all know that no one likes Crystal Skull. And even Spielberg himself kind of sold out Lucas when he was like, yeah, George wants to make it. But Shia LaBeouf had one fairly innocuous comment in an interview where he said, I had the misfortune of being in the one Indiana Jones that sucked. So he gets a call and says, Steven wants to meet with you tomorrow at like 2 p.m. He's like, okay. He doesn't really even connect it to the interview. He goes into Spielberg's office. Kathleen Kennedy and George Lucas are sitting on the couch. Kathleen Kennedy
his name's there.
Scrolling through her phone. Lucas is like flipping through Variety. Shia says, "Hey, how's it going?" And neither of them look up. And he's like, "Okay, that's weird." And he sits down. Spielberg arrives, sits down, and Spielberg looks at his watch and he says, "It's 2:06 p.m. As of now, this relationship is over." And he gets up and leaves. And Shia can't believe this. This guy was his dad. He's like about to cry. And Kathleen Kennedy, without ever looking up, just says, "I don't know what you're still doing here." And so then he gets up and leaves. They never talked again. I'm pretty sure they did. I should have said that last part because maybe they have. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I have another story, but it's probably too identifiable who told it to me. But look, you don't get to be a billionaire. You don't get to be a billionaire mogul by being a nice guy.
Yeah.
We all know this.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, your last story kind of emphasizes that.
And for that reason, I'm going to fight him.
Well, I want to know. I mean, you kind of gave it away. There was only 3 people in that room. So George Lucas told you that story, right? Reliable source. He was there.
Yeah, he did. You know the famous internet picture of him at the mall eating Panda Express. I was actually with him. I was getting the Panda Express for myself. I was almost there. You could just see the edge of my tray at the edge of the frame. But then Phil Joanou, so, he kind of got out of the good graces of Spielberg. He directed a few movies like in the 90s, but really he partnered a lot with U2.
Did he do the Rattle and Hum videos?
He did the Rattle and Hum.
You know, the thing that you failed to mention about Phil Joanou is that he was 23 at the time when he directed Amazing Stories, which is, incredible start for his career.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it was an incredible start that he'd be cursed with for the rest of his career because, you reach those heights really quick, and he made this movie in 1999 called Entropy, where Stephen Dorff from What a Dummy plays.
I love that's the credit you give him.
And it's kind of one of those kind of like one of those autobiographical movies. It's like a very cringy because it's like, man, I'm like a good looking guy with like dating models and
like this is not your biopic.
Oh no, it is, but and okay, so this movie Entropy is made in 1999, and there is a scene where his cat talks to him, and it looks like it's like not even good CGI from 1999. It looks like what was that video game character, Bubsy?
Oh yeah, it looked like that.
Yeah, and he's like,
"Hey, you gotta get your life together, pal."
It's very surreal. There's a lot of scenes in that movie that are like, oof, that hurts.
So did that win any Emmys for Best Actor?
It did not. But he credited Spielberg with telling him, he bumped into Spielberg. Spielberg said, "You got to do something personal. You got to go back."
He's really sabotage this guy.
Yeah. But so who knows?
Do you think Spielberg ever thinks about this guy now, or
definitely not? Definitely not.
The other interesting thing, though, about this movie is who wrote the script for it.
Oh, yes. Richard Christian Matheson, right?
Well, does he just go by Christian Matheson?
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know. I call him Rich.
He's a good friend of yours, yeah.
But yeah, Richard Matheson's son, Richard Matheson, who wrote so many of the greatest Twilight Zone episodes, as well as the novel I Am Legend.
Right.
And Christian Matheson, many great credits in his own right.
Mm-hmm. What else does he have?
I
just know about it.
And then wasn't the other writer the guy from Full House, or was that a different movie?
That might be a different movie, but I do know that director of cinematography was Barry Sonnenfeld. That's another big name attached to this movie. Yeah.
Oh, somehow I forgot that. But it totally has that style. I mean, combined with...
At this point in our recording, I'm pretty sure you forgot everything that happened in this movie, every person in it.
Oh, no, I remember Casey Semechko.
Nope. You forgot how to pronounce his name. Shimashko.
Shimashko. Okay, wow.
Yeah. His actually real name, just I'll throw that out there, it's actually Kazimir. Kazimierz Jamashko, but he only changed the Casey for Hollywood. He didn't change the last name.
Wow.
Yeah, so there you go. There you have it. Is that the episode? That's the only thing I'm bringing to the table. You know, the interesting thing about him, I'm just jumping because my notes are a mess. They look like alien language to me right now. That he was in some big movies from our time.
Go on. I know he was in Young Guns.
He was in Young. He was the good guy, Young Guns.
I mean, he was.
Which one was he? Billy or?
It was like 6 good guys.
But he was like the good guy. He was like the.
He was the guy who was like, I'm a pugilist, and
Yeah.
he gets like married, but then he dies tragically.
There's a story he tells. I don't know if this is true or not, but he said he was offered the role of any character in the movie, and he chose that one. I feel like, wouldn't you choose a different character?
I mean, when you choose Billy the Kid, that's kind of crazy not to.
Yeah. I know. I don't know if that's true, but the other movies he was in Back to the Future as one of Biff's goons. He was also in Stand By Me.
And now I see that he is a tile guy.
He is, and I think at one point you were looking for a tile guy.
Well, it's funny because we're discussing this episode. This would have been great content if it happened on the air. But we're like, oh, we got to record 3 o'clock high. And I was like, I need to find a tile guy for my upstairs bathroom. And then you're like, well, weirdly, Casey Shamachko, I don't know how to say this.
Jamashko, yeah.
Yeah.
Jamashko.
Is a tile guy now.
Yeah. Oh, he does it like as a hobby.
Okay.
He looks good. You know, the other thing I noticed about the movie, all the leads, you know, Casey as Jerry Mitchell, Richard Tyson as the bully, Buddy Revell, and the friend, Jonathan Wise, they all have great hair late in life. I want to know what their secret is.
Well, I think the bully, I mean, he definitely had an interesting life. I think there's a lot of darkness there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he has a couple of arrests under his belt.
Yeah. I think
he might be breaking into your home. He might be zip line.
Now, Rusty, the score of this film was done by Tangerine Dream. They're a favorite around these parts.
Oh, yeah. Well, they definitely inspired a lot of current acts. I think they inspired like Stranger Things and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Their score
I remember
Miracle Mile is one of the definitive scores in the world.
I have a memory. It's probably not that interesting, but did you have the Miracle Mile soundtrack, the LP, or was that just on the VHS that said like soundtrack by Tangerine Dream?
No, I do have the LP.
Okay, I thought so.
And I don't know if it's on the VHS, but I had the VHS as well.
You know, I have to say, you really have been the biggest Miracle Mile fan.
That's true.
And it's been very... You're the only one. You push that movie every chance you get.
I'm not the only one. I started the cult. And
You started the...
a lot of people are into Miracle Mile these days. And they say, oh, what is Steve DeJarnette? Like, why hasn't he made a movie since then? And I'm like, well, because I've got him mummified in my collection. Or Steve. Anyway, so, Rusty, the film begins, and it's kind of, this sequence, which wasn't really that crazy, but, like, of the kid getting ready in, like, an idiosyncratic way, where Phil Joanou, I noticed that you're saying Joanou, but I assure you...
Joanou. Joanou, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Don't you gaslight me. You thought it was Joanou.
I've been saying it right the whole time.
Everyone heard it. I'm going to put your earlier Joanou in right here.
No. Phil Joanou. Did I say Joanou?
Yes. You did.
I actually wrote it out.
After I said Joanou.
I heard it. Well, at least I got it, Casey Jamashko, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm never getting that one right.
Well, Kazimierz Jamashko. You know, he has a sister, too, that acts. I think her name's Nina. I could be wrong. But she was in License to Drive. She was the sister, like the hippie beatnik sister.
That's what I have no memory of for some reason, except that I believe Heather Graham is in it.
Yeah, that was like everybody's introduction to Heather Graham. I remember a friend of mine had the poster, if you remember the poster. And it's like Corey Feldman and Corey Haim looking at the viewer, and then like Heather Graham's in the middle with her jacket thrown over her shoulder. And I wanted that poster so bad. I was like, she's so hot. I need that in my room.
That's such a great work of art. I tried to break into the Met and hang it up amongst the rest of the art.
You know, the poster for 3 O'Clock High, I think it said, I'm not going to say, is it like
the Cowboy?
No, Portuguese. What?
Sorry, go
Or
on.
maybe I think it's a German poster. The art is really cool. You should get that. I know you just bought a bunch of poster art for your place, but the one for 3 O'Clock High is really cool.
The thing is, I don't love this movie enough to get a poster of it. Not like I love recent posters, Amityville 3D and Logan's Run.
You always loved Logan's Run, though. You always had a
No,
soft spot for that movie.
I've always had a weird soft spot for that movie.
Is it because of what's her face, or is it because
It was from before that. It was just, I don't know, when I was a little kid, the idea of like, it's like he's got to go run and like his like old friend is chasing him. Like, I don't know, it was really relatable.
Did they ever remake that? I feel like I would be shocked if they didn't.
I'm currently remaking it in my backyard. I'm hunting my neighbor. And he's like, dude, I'm 43. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm like, you're going to turn 30. You got to go.
And he's like, "What about you?"
I'm like, leave me out of it. I recently got a BB gun that I shoot cans with in my backyard. And I'm like, if I ever get a complaint.
What are you, a hillbilly? What
do you mean a hillbilly?
I wonder why your neighbors hate you. Yeah, I'm shooting some more cans tonight. What's wrong with you? Is it like a CO2 one or a pump one?
Well, great question. I have both, but the pumping is the one that I use. And it's like you'll love this. It's pink, and it's like a Red Ryder, like a classic BB gun.
Yeah, is it pink so people know like it's not going to really do damage? Just maybe break the skin a little bit.
Well, that is why I got it, but there's still enough black on there that I do feel kind of funny when I'm going into the backyard with it.
I thought you were.
But I can only hope that my ficus trees will grow eventually and block the neighbors' views.
That reminds me of the time when I was doing, made up martial arts in my backyard, and my good-looking neighbor girl saw me doing it, and she made fun of me on the bus the next day.
Oh my God!
You never know how private your backyard is until someone spots you.
Oh, I know exactly the spots in my backyard where I'm visible, and the spots where I'm not visible. That's where I pee.
Yeah.
Justin, who I've mentioned before on the show, probably listening. That guy, he's such an escalator. He really enjoys peeing in the backyard. He's always like, "Hey, can I go pee in the backyard?" And then last time he was here, he's like, "Hey, bro, can I pee in the front yard?" I'm like, you have to always amp it up.
Why would you need to pee in the front yard?
I let him pee in the side yard. Front yard's a little too much.
So sometimes peeing outside does feel pretty good, though. It's very liberating.
It's the greatest thing in life.
It's like this is what primitive humans were like, fucking peeing anywhere. I've never peed in my backyard now. You're inspiring me. I'll see you later. I don't know. I took down all the trees, so I don't know where to go. My neighbor would definitely like text me.
Now, brushes his teeth and rinses with Coke. This was horrible to see.
Yeah, that's just even I don't know. As somebody that's later in their years now, that's disgusting to me. Coke before, actually, soda's kind of gross to me to begin with, but before noon.
Yeah.
Can you drink soda in the morning?
No, I think soda in general is gross. Like if it's not,
I'll drink it. I'm not like perfect. I'll drink it once in a while, but it's just gross.
Yeah, if it's not Monster Energy, I'm not interested. No, I mean,
I've seen you drink.
I love Monster Energy. I love soda of all kinds. I'm just disgusting.
Jen and I went out for like lunch at like not a fast food, but it was like kind of fast food chicken place. It's called PDQ. If you ever heard of it, I don't know if it's a West Coast place.
I don't know if it's a West Coast thing. Do the chicken surf?
Oh,
Does the chicken surf? Okay.
Oh boy, this is what we're being reduced to. Dad jokes. But we went there, and I got a soda. I had Dr. Pepper for the first time in like 25 years, and I was just like, oh, it's not that good.
Really? I think Dr. Pepper is quite good.
Oh, really? I like vanilla Coke. That would be like
Dr. Pepper Zero Cherry. Oh my God, there's so much going on. It's like a riot.
Really? Isn't there a thing that they say like Dr. Pepper's just a mixture of Coke and another soda? Like you can make it at home.
Hey, that's a secret recipe. We already crossed Spielberg. I'm not having Dr. Pepper coming after us.
Wait, isn't it a Coke? I think it's Coke and root beer.
Oh my God, it's gonna be like Dr. Pepper is like Laurence Olivier in Marathon Man. He's like, is it safe? It's like, well, not a lot of people listen to the podcast. They were updated very much. It's probably pretty safe.
All right, so oh no, her name's Franny. I think the actress' name is Annie. Let me look this. Yeah, Annie Ryan plays Franny. Okay. So yeah, he picks her up for school. Man, that's just a life, man. Watching this movie, even though forget the part about where he almost gets his ass kicked, but
Oh yeah,
live that way. Just go pick up your friend, go to school, have no worries in life. Just do your thing. I wonder what your take would have been if you were young, if like you were in high school seeing this movie.
this would have been the greatest wish fulfillment of anyone's life to see, but especially
Really?
I remember I saw like the last 5 minutes when I was in like whatever grade, and I was like, oh my God. And it was enough to make Brass Knuckles interesting for the rest of my life. But
Oh, that was interesting to you, Brass Knuckles?
we have this sequence, which is one shot for a long time. You could tell Phil was really going for it here, where everyone's discussing the new student in the school, the talk of the school, Buddy Revell, and Yeardley Smith is in the film, famously played Bart Simpson.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a
so
woman.
close.
It was a woman,
No,
man.
wait, are you serious right now? You're so close, but you're not close.
Come on.
You're Lee Smith is Lisa Simpson. I hope you're joking.
I was joking. Don't.
Oh, okay, good.
I could bury you in Simpsons knowledge if I wanted to.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Burns, that's the name of the old guy.
All right, you don't know it. You know, they're talking, like you said, talking about Buddy Revell. You know, the funny thing is, when I watched this movie for the third time months and months ago, right after that, I felt like watching Kindergarten Cop, which he's in it. So I got a second dose of Richard Tyson. He essentially plays the same character in that movie as in this movie.
I mean, even as a
Notice
little
that?
kid.
Do you remember Kindergarten?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I love Kindergarten Cop. And he really had an intensity that felt real.
Yeah, even the way he like grits his teeth, he's like,
yeah, when he's like, that's
listen to me.
and like a weird mom figure. But
You know the funny thing though, right after that, right after I watched Kindergarten Cop, the next night I watched Black Hawk Down, and he's in that movie as well. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm on like a Richard Tyson kick.
wow, that Black Hawk Down was his last good credit.
And that's not even a good movie, in my opinion.
Oh no, I was never into that movie.
Yeah, but I never saw it up until watching it after Kindergarten Cop, and I was not impressed.
So 3 O'Clock High, this is 87, right? And Kindergarten Cop is only a couple years later. But
90 or 91, whatever Kindergarten Cop is.
I think it's 90.
Yeah.
And he's playing like a guy in his 30s. And here he's playing a high school student.
Well, I think both him and Casey Jamashko were both in their late 20s for this movie, right? Or actually, I think Richard Tyson was in his 30s and Casey was in his, like, he was 28 or 29.
Yes.
I like the talking about the legend of Buddy Revell and talking about how he put a teacher in the hospital. Do you remember urban legends in our school, what teachers did?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm sure every school has urban legends based on like teachers, but obviously we had the famous teacher that everybody within like a 8 to 10 grade span knew about, the teacher that slept with one of their students. But then we had the retired football player that claimed he knew Boomer Esiason.
Yeah, he had like tried out for the Jets, and it was like, holy shit, guy's basically an NFL like all pro player.
Yeah, he was built like a football player. He's a big dude. He was a substitute teacher. And I mean, part of it, I mean, I guess it's taken on its own legend, but he hurt a student or broke a student's arm.
My social studies teacher, he told a story about how a guy from another school came into the school to like attack a Seaford student. And he got up on, remember how the lunch tables were like these long lunch tables in rows? And
yeah, they like fold up, like when they weren't in use.
yeah, he he told a story where he ran across the tops of these tables like Tom Cruise or some kind of hero, and then like and like beat him into oblivion. But he told it so proudly to like a group of kids. Like imagine
Yeah.
being a teacher and being like, I kicked this guy's ass, dude. I did the parkour to get to him.
Well, nowadays teachers can't do anything. They got to take the beating.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm looking into it. This actor, what's his name again? The actor who plays Buddy Revell?
Richard Tyson.
Richard Tyson. Richard Tyson, he played Genghis Khan. Often
In
called
what?
Genghis. I think it is Genghis, but in the year 2010. And now the director of that film, he was directing it when he was 94. He had directed
Really?
The Longest Day and Swiss Family Robinson, and he wrapped up his career with Genghis Khan in 2010 with Richard Tyson.
Wow.
Genghis Khan. And then Richard Tyson, you got to kind of go into the little bit of a wormhole here, but
Yeah.
he made a short. Now,
Richard Tyson did?
yeah, he's credited as the co-director of this short. It sounds quite insane. I just have a feeling there's a story behind this event, because I think that what happened was the guy who was directing it got Richard Tyson to be in it, and then Richard Tyson took over the production, basically. Now, let me tell you about the guy who directed the short. I'm going to read to you his IMDb bio, which he probably wrote himself. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Brian Martin is a filmmaker's filmmaker. He is an hands-on director, producer. He is a part of his projects from start to finish. He is an award-winning writer, producer, director of photography, cameraman, editor,
Sounds like a resume.
and grip. No job too big or small. He's the first to arrive and the last to leave. This is IMDb bio. Brian has been in the film business for over 28 years and have enjoyed every moment. His knowledge of filmmaking, by far, among the best. Let me tell you about
It's the end of Mount Rushmore of
let me tell you about the short. It's about a suicidal man who lost his family to a wild animal attack while on a hike without him. They went on this hike without him. They got killed by these animals. He saves a stranger, a beautiful young lady, from a man who was attempting to harm her. In trying to save her, the strange man is shot, self-defense. After moving in, short term, while the local sheriff sorts things out, the female stranger instantly helps him smile and end his suicidal thoughts. But his new love interest has a dark secret, and her dark secret could be deadly if she's not of this earth. Now, I read that verbatim. I guess I thought there was a reason to read it because I wrote it in my notes, but here we are. So Buddy shows up. Everyone's gawking, and they're probably shocked that he's 30 years old.
Is that why they're gawking? That he's
They are. They are gawking. And the new kid in school, we've all been there.
I haven't.
Well, I was a new kid in first grade because I went to kindergarten in Wantagh.
Oh, so you can relate to Buddy Revell's
They
experience.
said, go in there and fuck a kid up. Get your message.
I mean-
That's what I did.
Do you know what this means? I asked what in my notes I have. What is this? They say that he came to school from continuation. What's that mean?
I do know what that means.
Is that like I don't even know. I don't want to guess. Maybe it's a term we're familiar with.
You know, a small fact about the film, it was shot in Utah. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of, I think the movie's called Over the Edge, right? It's like that teen rebellion movie. It's really good, but it was shot in Colorado.
Is that with Matt Dillon, Over the Edge?
You know, I wish I knew. And, or the movie Rad.
Yeah. Wasn't there a few movies that used the school location?
I'd love to hear about them. What other one?
I don't know. I'm asking you. You usually do that kind of research.
Whenever we
would
do some podcasts about 3 o'clock high, I have to look that up.
That'd be pretty good if we were prepared. I do know, it's that other people considered for the lead, which would have made it not a better movie, but it would have been Interesting. Corey Feldman and Kirk Cameron.
Kirk Cameron, I'm like, hey, pass me the breast knuckles. Let me finish this guy off. At the time, I did like Kirk Cameron at the time.
Well, I mean, yeah, we were young. We didn't know. You didn't know behind the scenes stuff back then.
Now, Mr. Rice, we go to the school store. This is where Jerry spends a lot of his time working in the school store. And
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's established that he's kind of a loser, right? His friend's a loser.
I don't know, because I remember the school store from our school, and I don't think I ever went in it.
You couldn't even get close to it. You weren't popular enough.
No, that was like Studio 54, and I was me now.
Yeah, but I mean, like his friend is like the nerd, and the girl that he's friends with, she's kind of like, the weird goth type girl. Like she's like, the post-punk girl. They're obviously not cool because when the popular girl comes into the school store, like she kind of, treats him like shit.
Into the store, as you just said, walks the girl of Jerry's dreams, Karen Clark. Now, she was a very familiar face to me, played by Liza Morrow. Very familiar face. I couldn't place her from anything else. And I looked her up, and she's a realtor in Florida these days.
Wow. Is she like cool about her acting past or no?
I don't know. Based on nothing, I'm sure she's MAGA.
Because she's in Florida, you said?
I mean, she's a realtor in Florida. I don't know.
Yeah. Is her only credit 3 O'Clock High?
See, I thought there was one other.
Oh, she was on an episode of Dynasty?
Yeah.
10 episodes. Okay. So she did Dynasty, Crime Story, 1 episode, and 3 O'Clock High.
It's weird because she's got such a familiar face. Like I thought, 80s icon.
Well, she looks kind of like the girl from Can't Buy Me Love, mixed with like somebody else. Maybe like mixed with like Deborah Foreman, the girl from Can't Buy Me Love. Amanda Peterson is the one I'm thinking of from Can't Buy Me Love.
Still alive. And so, is she flirting or is she being rude? I couldn't tell.
Rude.
Really?
He's a loser. Like she wants something to do with him.
See, that was hard for me to recognize because the girl's never been rude to me. It was hard for me to recognize.
I don't know what to say to that.
The girl's never been rude to me. Hey, you hear that? The girl's never been rude to the guy.
I'm trying to think of examples, but I'm drawing a blank, though.
And he's distracted when he's giving her this change back. Gives her the wrong change. Rusty, what's the time you got the wrong change, or thought you did?
Is this a bit? The wrong change?
Because I do it fairly a lot. Although the most memorable time to me is when me, Dan, and Larry went on our big trip to the South in the year 2006, and we were in I think Charleston. And it was like a thing where like the bars closed early, but like everyone went to this strip club. But it was like a huge, seemed like everyone went there. But you had to buy like the beer like next door first in like a very overpriced convenience store, and then you bring it in. And
it's quite a racket they got going on.
I know. And I used $100 bill. And the guy gave me back like $3. And I was like, how much was this? He's like, $16. And I was like, okay, well, because I gave you 100. And he's like, you did not. And I was like, yes, I did. He's like, you did not. I was like, yes, I did. And then finally, he like just gave me back like the change. And in my drunken mind, I thought to myself, like, maybe I could be wrong, but I was pretty sure I wasn't. And so
You think?
I threw the guy a 20. And he's like, what the hell is this? I was like, well, just in case I'm wrong.
Oh my God.
Get out of here, you stupid son of a bitch. He kept calling me a stupid son of a bitch. I never called before in my life or since, obviously.
I'm starting to agree with him, though.
Yeah, get the hell out of the 21. Oh my God.
Wait, but even if you did give him, even if it was $16 and he gave you the wrong change based on it, if it was $20 he gave him, why did he only give you back $3?
Oh, come on. Look, that detail's not,
What up on that?
Spent hours doing this story.
Maybe. So what happened? Did you make it into the strip club, or were you chased out of town like Porky's?
Well, no, but after the strip club on the walk back, every single car was yelling something out at us at the window. And our friend Larry just kept saying, like, come back and fight me, you cowards.
Oh my God.
And me and Dan were just like, oh my God. But like without fail, every car that passed us on the road on the walk home was like, hey, fuck you.
And the sad thing is that still happens now. You feel like that was like an 80s, 90s thing.
Oh yeah.
It's still.
I remember I went for like a long walk when I was like 35 on Long Island in our area. And someone yelled, like for the longest time, no one had done anything. And then someone yelled at me out the car window like some teenagers. And it became like the movie First Blood. Now I'm going to get my revenge on this fucking town.
Wasn't me that drew first blood.
Yeah, exactly.
I live close to a main street. Like, you have to go a couple blocks. And I was walking my dog down it, and I was yelled at by teenagers. Not the kindest things I'm sure you can imagine.
What do you do?
What did I do? I pretended to be looking at my phone as if I didn't hear them, even though I could clearly tell they were talking to me, and I looked at them for a second. It's always like, it's mob mentality. There's always like 5 kids. So even if like you were ballsy and you said something back, you still would have to face 5 kids.
It's bad enough to go to jail for beating 1 kid to death, much less 5.
Oh, I would love that. Those kids. All right, so where are we at?
First period. So it's first period, and Vincent, his best friend, who it's kind of hard to figure out where he fits into this whole film. He's talking about doing an editorial in the school newspaper on Buddy, new student. This is a great story.
Welcome the new student to the school, yeah.
Yeah, this is a kid who's got a lot of urban legends about him, but to get the story, it's not going to be easy. And Jerry is given the assignment.
Unbeknownst to him. He didn't want to do it. He wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why he went ahead when he went to use the restroom, which is, a consistent theme in this movie, that he is constantly in the restroom each period, and it just gets worse and worse. But he's in the restroom finishing up urinating, and who's next to him?
It's
The new guy, Buddy Revell. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry's like, they want me to do a story on you. And Buddy, I really felt kind of like, I'm kind of a buddy. I'm like, I didn't want it. No time.
Hey, but you're not intimidating like Buddy.
Lay me out of it. Yeah, I'm more intimidating. And so it goes wrong when Jerry taps his shoulder. And
Yeah, you don't touch. One of the things about this new guy is you don't touch him.
you don't touch.
Doesn't like to be touched.
Doesn't like to be touched. And
Sets him up.
he shoves Jerry into the urinal and like starts flushing it. It's a very weird looking situation. This is not something that I think happens very much.
There was a guy in a stall pooping, and once he heard that it was Buddy, he was tapping his foot as he should have. That he like, once he hears Buddy, he like lifts his feet up.
Now this might hit close to home for someone listening, but you ever listen to podcasts when you're shitting?
No.
Yeah, it's like I don't really like listening to podcasts when I'm eating.
Nah. I'm a visual person when I'm eating.
Yeah, both of those.
to,
Oh, you mean you should watch something?
I like podcasts for like when I'm working and stuff. There's something background. I can't do it when I'm like engaged, like where I need, direct engagement.
When I'm eating, what I like to do is open up 45 Reddit tabs and then eat my entire meal when I haven't even read the first one, which wasn't even that good anyway.
See, I do YouTube videos. Reddit is for pooping. YouTube is for eating.
Really? Yeah, okay. I like that.
Gotta get on that bandwagon.
But, so the big thing about that scene, 3:00, Buddy Revell, he says, we're going to fight. You can't run, you can't hide.
I've never been in a situation like that, but I felt the impact of it.
Oh, yeah. 3:00 is always when my depression really kicks in, so I don't need Buddy Revell. I'm already going to be battling myself, and it's going to be a rough one.
I wonder if he took like the more aggressive stance if Jerry did it. He's just like, oh, I can't wait. I love that. I wonder if that would have taken Buddy aback.
Yeah, just hit him with the maniac stuff. You're like frothing in the mouth, like, I'm gonna fucking eat your eyeballs.
I think you need to update this movie. Turn it into like a zombie.
Well, I'm gonna crawl back out from hell and fucking eat your ass. Like, I was like, okay, never mind. Just don't touch me. It's not that hard.
But this realization, it just knocks Jerry on his ass. He's walking out of there like a zombie.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't know what to do.
Those moments when your life just went bad all of a sudden back in school, because everything feels all consuming then too. It's just like, oh my God.
Oh yeah. I know. Those moments where you have to go back to school the next day, it just like that brief period of like, that night before, it's so much anxiety, even though it's like usually trivial things.
Jerry tries to make amends, but it's not so easy.
Is that what he does in the second period? I do like the way this movie flows, where it's like period by period. There's like snippets from something happens each period. That's kind of cool. A very cool touch.
It is, and as is also the film geeks who they want to do a documentary about the events leading up to the fight. No schlock, just classy angles, private moments. This is kind of a 80s trope of these film guys, not unlike the guys from Summer School, which I don't know if we did the episode 6 months ago or 6 years ago. Time is all fucked up these days. For Rusty, flirting, it always beats getting your ass kicked. And Jerry takes notice of Karen and science class, and she's more interested now because of his fighting prowess.
Yeah.
Are you looking at the same notes as I am, or what?
I am. I think I wrote that note. I don't know. But does he have fighting prowess yet, or is she just assuming? I think she's just assuming. But she's turned on by it. She wants to see some blood.
Yeah. Women love violence. I have found that again and again.
I do find it very relatable that if you're in that situation where I haven't been in this exact situation, but where a girl that you think is the hot girl shows interest in you, even if it's like minor. Holy shit, the euphoria you're feeling from that.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it's like getting injected with like the pure serotonin. Like they should try to bottle that, make it like modern ecstasy or something.
Based off of how she like flirts with him a little bit, I would approach that Buddy Revell fight like the way Daniel LaRusso is like showboating with Mr. Miyagi. Like I would be playing it up until I got like punched and like knocked down. But
yeah,
I'd be like, yeah.
I'd be like, I'm coming in. I got my footwork because I'm walking on air, my friend.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna fucking kill you now, Dougherty. So
you're quite a you have a few fights under your belt, right? I think you probably told some of these stories, but how many fights have you been in? What's your career? What's your win loss?
Undefeated.
2-0, 3-0.
I don't know. I would only say 1-0 probably.
I think I'm 0-0, but I have defused a few fights in my time, so I don't know if that counts for anything.
Diffused, yeah, that counts for negative. Actually, that's and it all.
Oh, you want blood? You want me to let?
No. I mean, negative in a good way. It's like a golf score.
Oh, okay. So I'm like under par.
I do have to say, after my famous fight, in which the other kid was the aggressor, and it knocked him out of school for 2 weeks.
So I think called the destroyer on the football team.
Yeah, that's true. But there was like a girl who was like a little intrigued by me after that.
she was the mutant girl, the chud of the school.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't say she was, that compelling.
I feel like though, like news travels fast in the school, especially our school was pretty small. It was like for 4 grades, it was like 800 kids, right? And I don't think many people knew. Like you didn't get that glory.
Oh, I got the glory.
Oh, you did? So, like, people, like, came up to you, like, you really... Did you have an audience for that one, or is that off campus?
No, it was off campus, but there were 3 witnesses, which later played an important role when the police were interested in the situation. But one kid who, like, I barely even knew this kid, except that he, like, walked around like a real tough. He said, like, after, like, he saw me, like, in the hallway, like, it was just me and him, and he was like, yo, they're saying you're a tough kid. Some people say you could beat me up. Don't you try it. I'll fuck you up. And I was just like, okay. I was like, what the fuck? I don't even know who you are.
That's funny. I'm curious who the person was. If I know.
I don't know if like he's kind of an anonymous figure. I believe his name was Dominic, which is like the perfect name for him. He was definitely, he might have been in my grade, but he was like older.
Oh, yeah.
You ever heard about
Only Dominic I'm thinking of was kind of a bully, so maybe it was him.
Yeah. You ever heard about a kid named Donkey?
Donkey.
The third period there's a pep rally. A lot of extras in this scene. You know,
It's very impressive with the amount of extras they got.
oh yeah, there are a shitload of extras in this movie, and that's extras is one of the hardest things in the world.
Do you think they tied into like it's a Spielberg production? So people showed up for that.
Oh, maybe people were excited in Utah. I mean, some of the kids are a little too real. Some of the kids that like, especially like in the background, you're like, that kid's like feels weird being on camera. Like, get the off the camera.
Yeah, I'm really curious, and I think I did write that. If you think it was filmed during like while school was in session, because it really seemed like they said like, oh, we're filming a movie here. It's gonna do this one scene. It'll take a couple hours.
Yeah, I really think they must have been during school.
I mean, especially the end scene, the fight scene.
Oh, the fight scene has so many extras. It's insane.
Yeah, so Franny, which way I think we haven't mentioned yet, about her spiritual guide, Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is this? Is that like Dianetics? Is that? Well, she gives Ethan the lowdown, and let Jerry know that he's a warrior, and that he will emerge from the challenge unscathed. But it depends on them, which means she just wants to get with Jerry.
Yeah, and she is very much the classic kind of Phoebe Cates, Winona Ryder of this era.
I thought she definitely had a cute vibe in this movie. I would have been like, I would have gone with her instead of the popular girl.
Oh yeah,
and they really make you think with the ending that that's how it's going to be. But
now what? They're just gonna end up with this girl?
Yeah, a lot of '80s movies really like didn't go with that path. Like Can't Buy Me Love, Teen Witch and stuff. They always kind of ditch like the loser. They accept this stardom that they receive.
Oh yeah. Although it Can't Buy Me Love, is there a loser character for him?
Yeah, remember Courtney Gaines is like the friend.
Oh yeah, but they weren't gonna date though.
Courtney Gaines was Patrick Dempsey's friend. The redhead kid from.
No, I remember. I found that scene so visceral when I was a kid, where he's like, "Threw shit on my house."
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's like where he's getting picked on, like Patrick Dempsey kind of steps in and protects him, but that they don't become friends again. That's it. They just go their separate ways. It's just like, that's weird. That's like, it's established that they have a long-standing friendship and just throw it away for popularity. It's kind of weird. It's just like, although I guess that is true to high school, though. I feel like in high school, many people have done that. I did kind of the opposite, though. I was friends with the popular kids for a while, and I threw that away to be with the punk guys.
Yeah,
I'm including you in that. The most mainstream punk, but you have to start somewhere.
you don't even know, dude. Yeah, no, I did the same thing.
Yeah,
I had to walk away.
You graduated from the sewers to what?
I had to walk away from the mutated animals I hung out with. Yeah, you hit a point where a 4-foot tall rat, as wise as he might be, but yeah. So
they're at a pep rally. How violent is this pep rally? Cheerleaders come running out with like baseball bats.
I feel like our school never had pep rallies, but it was such a trope in film.
I think with tropes from the '80s movies, we didn't have none of them.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of them were probably from an earlier era, just because writers of the films probably were schooled in like the 70s and 60s.
I was always so baffled because we had showers in our locker rooms, but nobody ever used them. That became like obsolete by the time we were in school. But in '80s movies, that's always like where shit went down.
Yeah,
It's just like, and I was always fearful. I was like, when I get to high school, I will not go anywhere near the shower. But it didn't happen.
it's already annoying enough. I got to show these kids my dick now.
Yeah, is that like a thing? Would everybody just like? I feel like bullying would have been increased nowadays. That
Man, we've mentioned our friend Eric here before. Have I ever talked about why me and Eric stopped being friends?
No, is it good content?
It's great content. Finally coming
Okay.
clean about this.
Oh,
I heard from the twins. They said, Eric said, you smell and you need to take a shower. And I said, he's dead. He's done. That's it. And the truth is, I did need to take
He
a
was right.
shower. Because I used to be, I don't know why I was so reluctant to take showers as a kid, but I was always like, oh, if I have to do it, I'll finally do it. It's been 10 days, whatever it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was right.
But I guess you don't smell as bad. Like, as you get older and hit puberty, you kind of stink. Right? Middle school, are you in puberty yet? I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know, me, when I was 4 years old, I wanted to be tied up by a witch and have my penis bopped around. I didn't went through puberty.
You ever think about that?
Do I ever think about what? Do I ever think about that?
That. Not in a comical way. Like that wasn't such a bad thing. I still do that.
Oh, well, yeah.
I used to have a fantasy. It would go back and forth, but it would be between bringing up Punky Brewster again, of being locked in a cage, and being kind of like her. I didn't really know what sex was, but being like her slave. Like she would let me out of the cage, and I would play this game in my bed, and like I would put the blanket over my head, be like, "Oh, you got me trapped, Punky." Okay, let him out of the cage. I have pain is temporary, film is forever. Oh, that was the geeky guys. Want the video? I do like where he constantly tries to get out of fighting Buddy. Yeah, and I think his new plan is to ditch school.
Yeah.
So he gets his car, which somehow Buddy knew what car was his, but he also dismantles like the carburetor or whatever, or the alternator. And then he leaves him like a menacing haiku. A bit of a subplot in this movie that Buddy's actually kind of a smart guy.
Yeah.
But he writes, "There's no escape. The bell rings at 3. Be there."
Mm-hmm.
With a knife stuck in it, which is the knife that they tried to plant, right?
Yes. Do you know when me and Megan were in Hawaii, we stayed in a neighborhood called Haiku. And
was it
Megan made us
haiku?
She made us write haikus every night. And
Really?
at first I was like, come on, you're making me do more work here. I'm already writing. But eventually I got into it. And then I got her, because she used to really like The Bachelor, a cameo from the host of The Bachelor, Jesse Palmer.
Don't know who that is, but go on.
He wrote a haiku in his cameo. He said, I heard you had been writing haikus, so here is my haiku. He wrote a haiku.
I think it's very important that you guys send cameos to one another.
What a great guy.
Jen and I used to do that, send cameos to one another.
I remember you telling me that things went off the rails when you got a cameo from Soleil Moon Frye and you made her talk about putting you in a cage.
Wait, I sent it to myself, is what you said?
No, you sent it to Jen. And Jen was just like, Felicity, this is not a real story. And she looks uncomfortable having to say these things.
Because I had bunk beds with my brother, so he was above me. I was on the lower bunk. And I would like cover myself with the blankets, having that fantasy. And I would like practically suffocate myself. It would get so hot under there.
I remember when I had a roommate in college and we'd share like a tiny room. Like when I would sometimes I go in the bathroom to jerk off, but sometimes I would just because there was like our desks divided the room. So sometimes I would just get on the floor and jerk off down there. I'm like, there's no way that guy wasn't hearing everything.
I think it's very, very, very hard to cover those sounds.
He's probably still talking about it. He's like, oh my God, did you know the guy has a podcast where he mentioned that?
Right now, he's talking about that. Your plumber's talking about you being locked in your pantry.
Oh my God.
Your name probably gets mentioned quite a bit.
Oh, I bet. If this podcast became huge out of nowhere, we'd have to go back and edit a bunch of episodes.
They'd all be like 5 minutes long. I mean, what's the most important year of high school, junior or sophomore?
I think sophomore.
Yeah, I think that's the year I decided, all right, well, grunge is big, had a little bit of a the grunge look. And I decided, like, this is the year I'm going to be, like, a wise ass. And I would get detention so much. And it's like, I would spend more time in school suspension than I did in class.
Oh my.
Yeah, I don't know. And, like, I didn't try at all. I didn't do homework. I know you did the same thing, though. You didn't do your homework. It's like, high school, you just have to put a little bit of effort in.
Oh, you really did.
And I didn't do that. And I, wound up going to community college because of it.
Me too. Yeah. And I didn't. I definitely did not need to do that. I guess I'm glad that I did because it's hard to imagine not living that life. But
In-school suspension was horrible in the sense, like, I could see why I could not do well in prison because for a day or two, whatever, how long you're in there, it was brutally boring. No talking. You got your assignments delivered to you and you just sat there all day. You didn't get to go out for lunch. You didn't get any break. You got a pee break. And that was about it.
and why did you get suspension just for missing detentions or something, or getting?
If you got X amount of detentions and you flaked on going to detention, you would get the in-school suspension. So I didn't go. I would go to detention every so often, but then I would cut it. And then, by the end of the year, when you rack up, hundreds of days of detention, you just, work it off by, cleaning up the school for summer. Do you remember that, or you didn't do that?
I never did that.
So, it would be hot. You'd go in the morning, and you would clean all the chairs, and you'd stack the tables and stuff, and you basically did, janitorial work for free. And they'd be like, all right, you did this job. That's, 20 days, and you did that. That's another 20 days. And then after, going for, 2-3 days, you worked off X amount of days that you had. I do remember going into the in-school suspension, walking into the classroom, and it was this weird reserved classroom that the desks looked like they were left over from the 70s. They were all carved up with, messages, gum everywhere, and the people, the faces that greet you as you walk in, you're like, I don't belong here. This is not my kind.
That's how I felt when my first Nassau class was several our high school style mutants, and I went in and I was just like, I was like, I can't, I gotta get out of here.
NASA, looking back on NASA, geez, that if you want the Long Island experience, go there.
Then I got put into the Nassau advanced classes, which were kids who had gone to good a good school but flamed out in a year.
Yeah.
And so they all had kind of their own trauma. Now, Jerry's plea to Craig is for Craig to fight Buddy for him. The movie goes through each thing you would do. So this is his pay someone to fight Buddy.
Which would have been my first go-to.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh my God.
That would have been, people would have been coming to you, the guy, you the destroyer. So they hatch a plan that they're going to do it during lunch when everybody's distracted. But somehow it takes place in the library. So I don't know if that was his bad writing or if it was intentional. Or is that, I guess that's where Buddy was, right?
Yeah.
So they had to go to him. I like this little scene because obviously it doesn't go well. Craig actually gets his finger and nose broken.
Thrown into the bookcases.
In comical fashion, all the bookcases fall down one after the other, and then it lands where both Jerry and Vince are watching, and they're busted, and Buddy just looks at them and does the shh, and calmly gets up and walks out.
And that must have, they must have only had one take for that. It was blowing up the bridge of the River Kwai. Phil Joanou was guys, we got to make this work.
I appreciate that you're saying Joanou the correct way now.
I've been saying Joanna the whole time.
Now, say, what's the actor that plays Jerry? Casey what?
That I've been upfront about my struggles with his name.
Yeah.
So now it's fifth period, Rusty. Fifth period.
Well, that's where the confrontation happens. We just discussed that. But it's okay. You're fine.
Yeah. Now it's sixth period. Well, Jerry's back in the bathroom and he's throwing up.
They come up with a new plan, though. Yeah, he's throwing up his lunch.
Yeah.
And his sister now, that also goes to school, comes up with a plan.
Yeah.
They come up with, because they used to watch Gunsmoke during the summer, and they come up with a Gunsmoke plan.
And what is this plan?
is to get is it detention or to get? I don't. How come I didn't write down the plan? It was
Okay, hold on. The
Wait,
plan.
wait. So they come up with a plan, the Gunsmoke idea, because they watched Gunsmoke during the summer.
Yeah. And what was his plan again? To get detention, right?
Yeah, Jerry needs to get detention. In this way, he cannot fight, but because he's going to be stuck in detention.
Yes.
Seems like a solid plan.
That's alibi, yeah. But before you go on here with sixth period, I see here it says Rusty tells story He-Man characters. Now, I'm literally holding a Skeletor figure in my hand right now. That's the Skeletor figure on the microphone. What is the He-Man story here?
I have no idea. What was the He tells? You have anything else?
He-Man characters, times you sick at school.
I don't know if that works right now. I don't think it works for this moment.
Now, sixth period, Jerry puts on a cool guy persona and tells the class his report was on Honey Goes to Hollywood. And Mrs. Armour, the teacher here, she's kind of a hot teacher. She starts getting turned on by his bad boy acts. And so, and also he culminates his book report. His book report's on the turn of the screw. He makes it very sexual. You know,
Well, I thought they could have done a better job with that. Do you remember the movie with Arliss Howard goes like undercover at school?
Arliss Howard.
Yeah,
No, what was it called?
the movie.
I remember Hiding Out with John.
No, not that one. It was called. I think it was called Plainclothes.
No.
But there's a scene where he kind of does the same bit where he talks about something, and he does it in such a way that it was like you feel the intensity of the sexualness of it. Where this, I feel like it falls a little bit. Like I wasn't there with them. Were you?
Nah, me either. But I'll tell you who was there with him, and that was the writer Henry James of Turn of the Screw. He said he was so frightened upon rereading it that he was afraid to go to bed.
Wasn't that Stephen King that said that?
He said, "This was some crazy shit. I don't know. This fucking shit's kind of scary to me." And I wrote it. What do I know? I'm making the stuff up from.
But anyways, the teacher and Jerry kiss, and he passes out. And then another student is like, "That's what I call a book report."
Yeah, it's a I'll have what she's having kind of line.
Yeah.
But so Jerry's plan here has actually failed because the teacher was into it.
I do like that he wakes up in the nurse's office. I'm sure you have some stories about the nurse's office, but I love the
Famous
little,
thing. My famous story of the nurse calling me a loser.
What grade was that?
Like first grade.
Oh my God.
That lady.
Our elementary school, they did not hold back from like putting us kids down.
Oh yeah, it's just a hateful swamp.
Yeah, we had an art teacher. She liked me because I was actually pretty gifted, but she hated anybody that wasn't artistic.
Yeah, she hated me.
And, yeah, I'm saying your drawing. But she would, I don't know if you remember this, but when we would have lunch in the cafeteria and then we, people were getting a little rowdy, they'd be loud, she would get on the mic, tell us to quiet down. She's like, "You guys are insignificant specks in this universe. You're nothing. You'll never be anything."
Wow.
And it's like, really, put us down. I mean, the music teacher would really put us down.
I mean, I just remember that art teacher would get crazy about crayons. Do you remember this? Is this something I talk about every episode? She would freak out if you use crayons instead of crayons.
No, right? Why?
Use crayons. But it was out of the own, classroom supplies that she had. So even as a really little kid, I was like, "Lady, take the fucking crayons out over the summer if you don't want people to use crayons."
I feel like crayons was I feel like crayons was like the macrame of the 70s and 80s. Like nobody knows what crayons is anymore.
I mean, I never heard of them at all.
Yeah. It's basically like a crayon that's just like a stick without the wrapping and stuff, and you kind of like shade with it. It's an art form that I don't know anybody that uses that. So we do get an appearance. An interesting. Did you recognize who the nurse was?
She was Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Previous episode.
Tell him Large Marge sent you. Yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot we did that one too. Remember? You laid in the sick bed for kids, right?
Well, that was when I was called the loser because every Friday I used to throw up, and I was getting sent home for a bit, And then I went there and she was like, oh, just trying to sleep it off. And I was like pretending to be asleep. And the teacher came in and was like, oh, what's Eddie Darty in here for? And he's like, he throws up every Friday. He's such a loser.
Why Friday? Like, that had to be something psychological.
Because the kids, it was always in the lunchroom. If people did something disgusting with their food, I would throw up.
But why on Friday?
It's pizza. It's pizza day. People, they get crazier. The kids were wilder that day.
I thought it was like a culmination of the week. Like, it just escalated to that point. But no, it's you were freaked out Friday with the pizza.
I remember Adam Thuro one time, he had like a juice box he was squeezing, and I was just staring at the juice box, and I was like, if this kid squeezes this and it gets on the table, I'm gonna throw up. And he squeezed it, he like drank some and then let it out of his mouth back onto the table. And then I was just like,
Sad thing was that you were sitting at the table with him, so that you were a loser then.
oh, I know. And then I kicked down from his table. It was like, what's lower than hell? Like, I kicked out of hell. So Karen Clark, she loves Jerry's new lover boy persona.
No, yeah.
Personally invites him to her party. So what's interesting here is things are looking up while they're looking down.
Mm-hmm.
And Franny, now she's also into it. She surprises Jerry in the school store. And
Ready for some action.
she's trying to bond. The weird thing is here, they kiss passionately, but then there's some weirdness going on.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I didn't get that either. It was kind of like one of those moments like in Seinfeld, like when like Elaine and Jerry kissed and then we're like, no, there's nothing left here.
Yeah,
That's what it felt like. But then, since they ended up together, I thought maybe not.
They didn't end up together though.
And they didn't end up together. Which is a very key element here.
Maybe like, you kiss and there's this, like you said, there's just no passion there. But she still was into him. I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird.
Maybe Ethan thought it was the right time, and it just they weren't vibing yet. She had to wait for this fight to happen to make sure, like, all right, if he does come out unscathed, then it's time to like seal the deal here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or it could be that she kissed and kind of sensed like, oh no, like he's gonna end up like dead. Basically, she had like a premonition from that.
Yeah,
there's a lot to think about here.
Maybe it's like that thing where like fighters, like boxers and stuff, think like any kind of like sexual activity before a fight, it weakens your knees. It like takes you out of like your game. So maybe she thought like, all right, he's going to get his ass handed to him if I do this.
Exactly, we do think that. Speaking of Seinfeld, we now see detective. Is very suspicious about, I think it was Mulva Hill.
Oh, in Mulva Hill, yeah, Philip Baker Hall. Who is
Philip Baker Hall? Still alive, believe it or not.
No, not is he?
He's very. But
he just died though recently, right? He died last year, yeah.
Yeah, he was around for a while and a great actor. Always liked him.
He looked like he was in Boogie Nights, right?
I want to make $1 and a cent in this business. Yeah, he looked old back then.
He was in Magnolia as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, he looked like he was like 90 then. He only made it to 90.
Now, only made it to 90. I would make it to 45. Tensions are mounting. He's got the detective on him. His world's caving in, and now he's got to sit next to Buddy Revell for a math quiz.
Yeah.
Now, this is an interesting scene. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, he sees Buddy struggling, and he's just like, all right, maybe if I help him out, he'll see that I did him a favor. Oh, ace this quiz. Gets me out of it. So he lets Buddy cheat off him. Buddy takes him up on that offer, and immediately they get busted by the teacher. And if there's one thing that teacher hates, it's cheating.
Yeah.
They did good casting with this teacher, by the way, because he looks like a math teacher at any school.
Yeah, he really does.
So they get sent to the principal's office, and here Jerry's in trouble again. And they kind of make a case for that they weren't cheating, and it was actually Jerry cheating off of Buddy.
Yes.
And this way, he's, saving Buddy from getting in trouble, and maybe he could salvage the mess he's created. So the principal is not buying it. And he says, Buddy, here's 2 math problems. If you do the thing, then I'll believe you. And he does them and gets him out of trouble. And Jerry's like impressed by that. He's just like, you could have done it. You didn't need my help. And we kind of realize that Buddy's kind of a genius in some way.
Roger Ebert, he didn't like the film. And in his review, he said Buddy Revell, this guy's the most interesting character, the villain.
Yeah.
It should have been explored more. But I think it was actually interesting that it was this subtle thing. And of course, the villain's going to be a little more interesting than.
Yeah, I think we established that Roger Ebert didn't know that much. He watched a lot of movies, but he
You
missed
should watch
spoilers.
it. You know, I love Ebert.
I do love Ebert, but
Oh.
yeah, Buddy. If they'd explored Buddy Revell, it would have ruined the character. I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
What they've done. It's kind of like what they did with Michael Myers when they explored him too much, and he became such a lame character. Same with Freddy Krueger.
That was an awesome mythology they came up with. And after this scene, it's time for Jerry. He offers to pay him off himself now here, $350. Call it even.
That's like the last resort. He's a broken man at this point. He's got to grovel.
Yeah.
And
Buddy, he accepts the offer, but he calls him the biggest pussy ever without even
the way
trying.
he says it too, like, you're the biggest pussy. I guess.
Yeah. And the thing is, this is a very kind of necessary screenplay moment because Jerry now, he's actually escaped from the fight, but he realizes that he would rather do the fight than be ashamed in this way. So it becomes his decision to do it. And he punches a locker.
How many lockers have you? How many lockers have you punched in your time?
Not many. I haven't done much damage.
You remember the wannabe tough guys that would punch lockers?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they weren't wannabe, but they would punch lockers to intimidate. Dumbest thing. They would like walk down the hallway and just punch a locker. You know what? This movie came out in '87, but I have to say, Buddy Revell had a very grunge look to him.
He did. Yeah, he felt
Ahead of his time.
He would have been at home in the film Singles as a member of Eddie Vedder's band.
He had the flannel tied around his waist, or the leather jacket, the long hair.
So Buddy, it's time for the fight. And Buddy, bringing brass knuckles is very intense to do.
Yeah, but it makes you wonder, like, is Buddy that good of a fighter that he has to rely on a weapon? Like, for somebody that's so intimidating. You know, back in high school, when The Crow was big, do you remember that was like a big Halloween costume?
Yeah.
On Halloween, when I was friends with like the popular guys, we went to Taco Bell.
Yeah, I remember we went there.
And one of the guys I was dating a girl, and allegedly this other kid showed up there. And apparently there's some beef because the guy hit on the girl or something, and there was whatever, I don't remember the circumstances, but we were at Taco Bell and kid shows up and wants to fight the guy. And he's with his group of friends, which I think was only 2 or 3 other people, but one of them was dressed like the Crow. And we go to the parking lot and they're talking, but it never, escalated to a point of throwing fists. But the guy who dressed like the Crow actually put brass knuckles on. I was just like, whoa, this is a real life thing.
Wow.
And it's funny to see, like, they were all dressed as like dark characters. And one of my friends at that time was dressed like Superman, but wearing like one of those really crappy costumes. And we just looked ridiculous. I was just like, wow, we had a rumble.
Where was it, Halloween?
It was Halloween, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Halloween night.
It's kind of crazy how back when you're like a teenager that you can have like encounters like at the Taco Bell and stuff like that. It's like if I went to an errand, if I was running errands now and someone I had like beef with should have wanted to fight me when I was like at the supermarket, I'd be like, oh, this is a real pain in my ass.
Yeah. Oh, the other kid that was there, he was dressed like a crazy clown. This was before clowns got big. He was dressed like a crazy clown and he had a baseball bat. So they had a baseball bat and brass knuckles.
Oh my God. This sounds like Double Dragon.
Well, I don't even want to tell you what the big guy looked like. Looked kind of like an abobo.
Oh my God. Like, Doty, fight me. I'm like, I'll fight you, but we got to get a conveyor belt in here somehow. Do you know any contractors? What?
That's such a joke that for the 10 people that remember that game. Loving it.
Oh yeah. I'm like, hey, me and you are fighting our way through. They're like, don't get too cocky, boys. You're going to have to fight each other at the end of this game. I'm like,
yeah.
Is that true or is that urban legend? I'll never get past Machine Gun Willie. I wouldn't even see him. I saw him once. I remember where I was. I was at that batting cage in Massapequa or wherever that is. Not Massapequa. It's more west of there. You know the one I mean.
I just love like a Total Recall scenario where this is like your whole life's a dream, and it's like there was never an arcade at that batting. There's never arcade cabinet of Double Dragon at that batting cage.
Dream, but not much happened.
Don't you wonder how many false memories you probably have? Or not you, but like the collective you.
In general, yeah. That is something I think about. Like, what am I remembering completely wrong or differently?
Oh yeah.
Wow. So, that kind of energy comes into this fight, Rusty. What an impressive shot as we fly over this whole school. Everyone's like hanging out at every window. This is the biggest event ever. And
It's big. This shot was like bigger than like a lot of
big movies. Yeah.
movies.
Oh, for sure. The scope of the film really is shown through here. And O'Rourke steps in. He tries to stop it. He gets clobbered.
Duker steps in too and gets clobbered.
And now it's your turn, Buddy says. Franny steps in. She gets her face mushed. And doesn't the what's it called? The Duker also. It's like everyone that's been in the movie shows up at this end fight and gets like
Trying to stop it, and they all get.
Yeah.
So it starts off they're squaring off. It's cool, and Jerry lands a nice little combo.
Oh yeah.
The nose.
It's definitely the Rocky remember how like Rocky knocks down Apollo first?
Yeah.
Do you really? You sound like it.
What?
Did you
No, I
really
remember.
remember?
Yeah.
I don't have any. I can't have any posters on this podcast, man.
I actually watched Rocky somewhat recently.
But yeah, he opens up the nose, and Buddy's like, "You made me bleed."
Yeah. But then he's pissed off, and he comes like a running hook shot, which I don't know how much power is in that.
I think I remember Tank Abbott doing that in like the original UFC. He came at him just like you might have learned all the karate in the world. This is like a street fight.
Remember when Tank Abbott hit that guy so hard that his body was like rigor mortis, like his arms and legs were stuck in there?
Yeah, I do remember that.
The old UFC, like when there was no weight classes and no rules, like
Oh yeah, and it was like
it was not much discipline.
At first UFC, they tried to make it like a street fighter, where it was like a sumo guy's gonna fight.
I mean, I don't know if people remember, but the only like rules was no eye gouging and no like biting, but like groin punches were legit. And
oh yeah, I remember a guy just like hitting the guy. Like I feel like it was like there was like a wrestler guy, and he was just getting punched in the balls. Like what was that guy Kumo or something? Came out with a cross. He got punched.
Yeah. Well, the guy that got hit in the balls repeatedly, you're thinking of is Joe's son.
Oh,
was the Odd Job character from Austin Powers, but now he's in prison for like rape or something horrible.
Yeah.
But he got hit in the balls a bunch of times by Keith Hackney, I believe.
Yeah. So then what? How does Jerry get the upper hand again?
Because I think during one of the exchanges or something happened that Buddy Brass Knuckles falls off, and the sisters are like, when he's distracted by Vince the friend, I think, when Vince comes out and tries to like redeem himself after they have a falling out for a moment, he jumps on Buddy's back, and at this point Jerry gets the brass knuckles, and he winds up clobbering him, I believe, right?
Yeah, and he's like, "Here's your shot, kid. Don't fuck it up." And it's really like Star Wars. It's like, shoot that photon torpedo.
Yeah.
Whereas
Buddy goes down.
Buddy goes down. Buddy goes down. And it's won the fight. Everyone's going wild.
Yeah. He's an instant hero. I do like the scene, like when they're like, it's a little bit of the Halloween feel where they go to look at Buddy Revell and he's just disappeared.
Yeah.
There's no trace of him. Vanished. And the next day, Jerry's at school. His problem solved. He's just got to come up with the money to save the money that he stole from the school store that we didn't mention earlier, but it's fine. And people show up to support him. They're buying a piece of paper for like $1 a page. He's saved.
Including director Paul Feig. Right? Feig?
Oh, God. I hate that guy so much. He thinks he's such a cool guy, and he's not a cool guy.
He's not a cool guy.
But he is.
Yeah. And Buddy also comes in. The crowd, you could just hear a pin drop. He stares him down.
Let's see.
And he gives him back the money.
Yeah.
Crumpled up at first.
Yeah, he did. He tried. And then Buddy just leaves.
And I see you
find that.
Sorry, yeah. As he wrote here, imagine that was Buddy's role. Buddy is like the heavenly kid. He goes from school to school to inflate the ego of the loser. I love that idea. But who is the heavenly kid?
The Heavenly Kid was a movie with like exactly that point that like a cool guy from like the 50s. This is of course an 80s movie. A cool guy from the 50s like died in his job to like I think get into heaven. He had to like prove a good deed. So he like went to school in present day 80s to make like a cool kid, like a geeky kid cool. That helps him out. And at first he's like, I can't help this dweeb. But then they form a relationship, a friendship. So that's why I made the comparison that if Buddy, the whole point was to make Jerry cool. Like, could speculate.
Now the fun thing here is like the final shot as the credits are going is like kind of another version of the opening shot where we followed all the people talking about Buddy, but now Jerry is the legend.
Right, and there's he's taken on a whole new like legendary persona. It's like a god now, but it's kind of like embellished a bit.
Yeah.
But it is like at this point we learned that he's going out with Karen Clark, the popular girl.
Yeah,
and then he says he dropped Franny. Yeah, he dropped Franny. I mean, wouldn't you do the same thing? After I think you would.
I don't know. When you're in high school, I feel like even as like an oppressed loser who was never gonna climb the ranks, it was a dream to do it.
Yeah, life's so short. You gotta go for it in high school.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I liked as a kid? I don't know why I said this, but it's something like I can't even imagine as an adult eating. But I used to love as a kid liverwurst. You remember that? What kind of thing?
I have heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I loved it. I would always put it on crackers. It'd be like, my mom would be like, "What do you want to eat?" I'd be like, "Liverwurst and crackers." I'm watching. What was I watching at that time? Not DuckTales. That was too late. Probably Muppet Babies. My liverwurst as I watch Muppet Babies.
Wow.
It's just, I think it's like the equivalent of like, I think it's worse than bologna. I think it's like this, like the pig, maybe the pig cow, pig asshole, the gums eyeball. It's like really the worst cuts of meat, whatever the scraps are left.
Why are we talking about this?
I fucking know. It's late.